Florida was one of the earliest states to begin reopening amid the coronavirus pandemic. The Sunshine State is seeing success so far. Earlier this week, Vice President Mike Pence visited the state to meet with Governor Ron DeSantis and other state and local leaders about that success. One of those officials was Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Núñez, who's leading Florida's efforts to reopen. I do now want to bring in the LG to talk more about this first week of fully entering Phase 1. Hi, Ms. Núñez. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Greta. Great to be on your show again.
On Monday, Florida did fully enter your Phase 1 reopening, allowing gyms, museums, and libraries to open at 50% capacity. How is that expanded reopening going so far?
What I could say is that under Governor DeSantis' leadership, we have been in full Phase 1 for the better part of 2 weeks. Almost all of our counties have been. We understood the challenges with South Florida, so those were a little bit behind. But right now, all 60 really bears a lot of repeating. I think that the media has wanted to portray Governor DeSantis' decision-making poorly, but what we see is a downward trend, both in patients on vents, patients in the ICU, as well as our positivity rate, I think, has been very encouraging.
And during that meeting with Vice President Mike Pence on Wednesday, Governor DeSantis briefly mentioned water parks possibly being able to reopen soon, talking about the data that shows the coronavirus doesn't do well in chlorine. And then Florida is also known, of course, for other major theme parks like Disney World and Universal. What can you tell me about the latest on allowing those parks to reopen there in the state soon?
Certainly, those theme parks are a major driver in our economy. Last year, Florida boasted record numbers of tourism, over 127 million visitors to Florida, many of which like to frequent our theme parks. So we are eager to see those plans come forward. I know both Disney, Universal, SeaWorld have been working with local government to put together a plan that will lay out all of their different protocols and procedures to ensure that visitors to those parks are safe. So the governor is looking forward to reviewing those plans and working collaboratively with those theme parks.
You mentioned South Florida. When Florida did begin reopening, the two hardest hit counties, Miami-Dade and Broward, were instructed to take a slower approach. Both of those counties, though, have now announced some plans to push further into Phase 1. What's the latest on what they're doing?
Well, as I've mentioned before, I am a native of Miami-Dade County, so clearly the challenges that I saw them up close and personal here in South Florida. What I'll say is that in collaboration with the governor, both those counties really took a long, hard look at what were the data, the key data points that they needed to look at in order to make good decisions, smart decisions. And so they did so, again, collaboratively with the governor, but they understood that they were going to have to contend with higher case counts, higher rates of positivity. But even in that context, both those counties have been able to prove that they've been doing both access to testing, ensuring appropriate protocols are in place, working with businesses, because South Florida is a major economic driver for the state. And so we wanted to ensure that whatever phase they entered into, that they did so responsibly, and also ensuring that they were working collaboratively. So in Miami-Dade and Broward, their positivity rates are also on a downward trajectory. And I think that they've done a tremendous job faced with the hotbed, if you will, of Florida. Roughly 60% of the cases were concentrated in the Tri-County area down here in South Florida.
All right, and then of course, looking forward, what will Phase 2 be including for Florida, and when could that possibly start happening?
Well, today the governor announced that he was allowing for summer camps and summer sports to resume. A lot of parents, a lot of concern about the ability to go back to work now that the economy is starting to reopen, and making sure that they had a safe place for their students, for their children. And so we're excited to be able to announce that. The governor is continuing to look at the other options in the task force report and other opportunities for continuation of those phases and reopening. And so I think you'll see a number of things loosening up. But again, the governor has been really focused on making sure that his decisions, whether it's to enter into the next phase or expand that phase, is based on data and consultation with our public health experts, and done in a gradual way that will ensure the safety of Floridians, but also get Floridians back to work and our economy up and running again.
All right, Florida Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Núñez joining us to discuss the Sunshine State's continued reopening efforts. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Greta.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.